So in my last video, I talked more about perspective and how to shift your fear of missing out into something hopefully less intense. This video, I'll be talking more specifically about family back home and the fear of missing out with them. So your family. I think having a nice connection with your family is one of the greatest things in life in general. And one of the only, I don't even want to say cons, but just one of the results of that is that at times it can be scary to be further away if you have such a close relationship with your family. So my first thing I'll talk about is a reoccurring theme, but I'm just going to keep saying it, so I'm sorry. You will be able to appreciate your family even more when you're away. Maybe you'll realize how much you actually do appreciate them. And sometimes it can be hard with family. I think we've all had those moments. And when you're around family a lot, I think it's pretty natural just to not feel any crazy desire to show so much affection one day more than the other or whatever, just showing that you care. But when you're away for some time, it's a lot easier to realize, oh wow, these people actually matter to me a lot. I know this may have happened in college for many people, going away if you did, but I think it's brought to a different level, another level when you go abroad. I think it's interesting when you're able to compare your family to different cultures, because I grew up feeling like I didn't have any crazy traditions in my family. I mean, I don't, or anything really too out of the ordinary, just normal family. You know, we have celebrations for certain things, but it's all just normal, right? But when you see other cultures, you realize what is normal for you isn't necessarily normal for anyone else. I kind of gained a whole new appreciation for how I was raised and the values that was instilled in me and the things we did. It's like, oh wow, those are all special things I took for granted that I just had my whole life. Things as simple as Thanksgiving. I mean, that's a really obvious example. There's much more detailed examples I could give, but Thanksgiving is one of those things where I was like, wow, this is really just an American thing, which is obviously so obvious. But then other countries have their forms of different stuff and they celebrate it differently, and it's like, wow. Now, I also want to quickly interject to talk about families that may not be as supportive, because I know that's a big deal and affects a lot of people. There are families that may not support you in the idea of going abroad. And I've been really fortunate in that my family has always supported me, so I don't want to talk about it too much, acting like I know more than I do, but I have had very good friends that have had situations like that. And from what I've seen and observed, I think the best thing you can do is educate yourself on what studying abroad can do for you so that you can talk about it with them. I think if you just say, I want to live in Paris because it's cool, that's not going to go anywhere. So if you can educate yourself and find sources, I mean, kind of what I'm talking about in these videos, you can probably find someone smarter than me, but essentially I'm trying to break down why studying abroad can be good for you and why it's not such a scary a thing. And I think a lot of families don't necessarily want you not to grow, they just are protective and they care about you. And people are afraid of what they don't understand. So if you can kind of rationally break down like why this stuff's good and show like what the programs are like or whatever, I think that can really help bridge that gap, honestly. It can go a long way. And if anyone watching this knows more than me about this stuff, which I know so many people do, email me or leave comments on what you think about it or suggestions. Try to keep it positive. I'm trying to keep it positive here. But yeah, please, that'd be great. So now back to positives. As cheesy as this may sound, I think sometimes the distance helps you realize how close you actually are. I don't like saying that, but it really is true. The next thing with family would be being able to share. I think this is one of those things that really opens up when you're abroad. So I know in my first video, my intro video, I said how annoying it is when people just talk about their abroad experiences, which is what I try to avoid. I'm more trying to talk about perspective and helping people out, not so much about myself. I know how annoying that is and no one wants to hear it, but I take that back slightly because I think your family, specifically your parents, may be the only people in the world that find it as interesting as you do. And so all these experiences that you're having, you can share with them. Maybe not every single one, but you can share this stuff with them. Parents seem to find this stuff just interesting, and it's cool because you can talk about your experiences and they can see how you're growing up. So I think it's a whole different new way to share it too. Lastly, this really applies to friends too, so I'll talk about this slightly in the next video. But I think the uniqueness of your situation, which is what I'm gonna call it, makes everything more impactful. So let's say you're living in London or wherever in the world, and you call home to a family member to say happy birthday or just, I don't know, anything. You make the effort to call home or even text or email. I think that means so much more because they think, I mean, if you think of it from the other way around, they're like, oh wow, she's in London having an amazing time, and she thought of me and contacted me. Like, that's pretty cool. And I think it kind of gives you this leverage almost to where you can show people how much you care, because you're doing this awesome thing across the world and you're still like, hey, you're important to me, I want to reach out to you. So I think that's great. So that's it for this video. In my next video, I'll begin talking about the fear of missing out, more specifically about friends. I have a few things to talk about fear of missing out, so I'm just gonna keep making videos till I feel like I've made my point. Thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a nice day. See you. I'm really struggling with this. Oh man. Seeing it. I really want to say it right, though. That's the problem. I really want to say it right. Let's make sure I'm still recording.